our next comic up the stage? We do a little something special here at What a Joke Comedy Open Mic, where every week we bring a comic from around the region to get up, do a little bit of extra time for you, work out a feature set in what we call the Spotlight set of the week. Are you ready for your Spotlight comic of the week, Madison Station? Woo! Please put your hands together for Jack Dockery! Keep clapping. Yeah!
Just do that. I'm just going to hold the microphone for about 15, 20 minutes. You guys just keep clapping. Let's see who goes last. All right, so, from all the drug talking, I take it you guys like to party, huh? Does anybody here like to party? Woo! Yeah, you ever party too much? Woo! No. It's a bullshit question. There's no such fucking thing. But I'll tell you about a night that I gave some honorable mention for partying too much. Yeah, I woke up in a real shitty hotel room, and I just had to race like a fucking piss horse. And I go to get up because I'm like, I think I'm actually going to go in the bathroom to do it this time. But my legs are not working with me, so they're not just fucking moving. I can't get any feeling in my legs, from the drugs. So I look down at the mattress and I'm thinking, I can see the cigarette burn. That's probably a blood stain. I don't know what kind of stain that is, but some of my piss will probably actually sterilize this fucking mattress, right? And so I just decided to let her rip. And so I'm having a good time there, get 15, 30 seconds later, and I'm done pissing. And then this young woman sits up, and I later find out that she was actually a prostitute, but it's unimportant. But so she sits up and she wipes her mouth off, and she's like, you know what, sugar, that's real fucked up. Because you know the rules, and you were just trying to sneak one over on me while I was sleeping there. But I'm still charging you full price for that shit. And speaking of sugar, I think you're losing a lot of it in your fucking piss right now. You're probably gonna want to get to the doctor as soon as you can. And I'm just telling you, when a hooker gives you medical advice, that's not something that I'm willing to pass up an opportunity for, right? So I took my ass straight to the emergency room after I left there. And I got all of the tests, literally all of the tests. And it turns out that I have diabetes now. Yeah, I should be grateful because really, that hooker saved my life. I should be grateful. But the doctor was so thorough. She also explained to me why it feels like razor blades every time I have to take a fucking piss. And so now that hooker is dead to me. And also to the state of Texas. But all right, so let's bring the mood back up. All right, let's talk about something happier here. All right, so I got this great job. Now I work at NASA, and oh Jesus, I fucking did it again. I keep forgetting. The lawyers have told me several times, do not talk about working at NASA right after you tell them you just got done fucking a dead hooker. So, all right, so I lied to you guys. All right, comedians do that. There was no hooker. Okay, it was just. Actually, my mom is the one that figured out that I've got diabetes. All right, so it's my mom. And yeah, I see that look on your face, Kyle. Before you ask, of course I fucking still paid her. That's not a union that you want to piss off. All right. Maybe Amazon could take a lesson from them. Thank you, two people that watch the news. All right, so I work at NASA, and I've got to do all this just bullshit, redundant training. I have to spend hours. That's your tax dollars hard at work, by the way. Full days I get just lost. Just full days of productivity out the window because I have to get certified on all this bullshit every year. One of them is cybersecurity training. Basically, they tell you for 8 hours, don't click on spam in your email. Don't click on spam in your email. And I get it. That's pretty important. Because if I click on that shit and I get hacked, that means that one of these flat earther, anti-vaxxers is gonna find the evidence of how we faked the fucking moon landing. And then they're gonna find out that global warming is not actually real. Bye, Carl. All right, Carl's leaving, so that's just as good as consent to tell my next joke about Carl. All right, so then I've got this other training where it's called something like unconscious bias. And it's really just saying, hey, next time when you get that stupid fucking thought in your head about saying something racist or sexist, just wait till you get home. You know, like, don't do that shit while you're at work. And I thought about it, and I mean, on the front end, that sounds like it makes sense, right? It makes sense. But then I think about it, like, for the last 4 years, my boss has been a guy named Donald Trump. And there's a rumor going around that he just did not pay attention to this whole idea of waiting till he got home, not to be a sexist, racist piece of shit. Again, that's not political because I said it was only a rumor. It was just a rumor, people. All right, so the last kind of training that I have to go to is, oh, Jesus. Why didn't I write down what the actual training was called? I just wrote down NASA training on my notebook. Whew, where was I at? Right, diversity and inclusion. So basically they teach us that there is a place for everybody at NASA, all right? Everybody fits in at NASA. Everybody fits in at NASA. All right, you guys are all certified now. You've had your 8-hour training of diversity and inclusion. All right, so I was a little confused by this one also because as soon as I get back to my office, I see an HR poster hanging on the wall that says, sexual harassment has no place at NASA. And I'm like, well, that's some bullshit right there. We're gonna make some fucking room for sexual harassment here today. And so I tear that poster right off the fucking wall and throw it in the trash. And my boss comes up and she's like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, hold on, baby. Pow, right on her ass. So what the fuck was that? I said, yeah, girl, I just want you to know that I pay attention in that training. No, I'm happy that they have training like that, actually, so we can, you know, for the people that aren't aware of what it's like to be a human being, you know, like in my last job, we had a lot of people that were not so good at being human beings. I was actually getting bullied at that job by a real piece of shit named Chad. And so Chad would only really bully me based on the color of my shirt, which makes it real convenient for this joke. So for instance, like when I would wear a green shirt, Chad would say something fucked up like, Shrek is even fucking uglier in person. Sorry, I just need a moment. All right, but then I wore purple one day, and Chad said, man, when did Barney and Grimace have themselves a love child? I said, at least I wasn't a mistake. Sorry, I know a few people that probably hits close to home for, so sorry about that. All right, but the worst one, the one that my therapist remembers the best, is the day that I wore a red shirt. And I was walking back to my office and there were some boxes stacked up over here. Some gives me a little shove from behind and I kind of like trip. I go flying, I knock the boxes go all over the fucking place. I stuck the landing, thank God I didn't fall. But then over here in the back, I just hear Chad. Oh, yeah. I'm like, that's fucked. That's fucked. I'm not the fucking Kool-Aid man. So I go to HR, I go to my boss, I'm like, you gotta do something about this motherfucker. I can't have him harassing me like this. I can't get my fucking work done. And that is when I found out that Chad doesn't even work there. Or anywhere, actually. Why, according to the mandatory psych evaluation that the corporate office made me go to, Chad probably doesn't even fucking exist. All All right, I think Raina's got her back to me, so I'm going to talk about Raina now. It was worth it just to hear the laugh. Let's go on to the next joke. No, I'm going to tell it. This is some of my best shit. All right, so I don't know. When was your show over there, Matt?
Straight Daniel?
No, it live.
Oh,
A week, 2 weeks?
a week ago.
That'll work for me, thanks. My memory's only half fucked. All right, so I was over there at Matt's show, and allegedly Raina was over here hosting this show. And so when I was trying to get out of that show as soon as possible after it was over. But when I'm almost at the door, I see Raina. And I mean, it has to be Raina. She's got that like beautiful, long, flowing blonde hair. I mean, you guys have seen her. She's got the plaid shirt, just the black yoga pants, and like the kick-ass Chuck Taylors. There's no way this is not Raina. I'm so confused about what's going on. I'm like, am I about to haul ass over town for no reason? Is she not over there? Did she cancel that to come to the other show? So I get my phone out and I'm like just digging through Facebook real quick, trying to figure out, did the show happen? Did she cancel it? I don't know, but I get right up behind this bitch and I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it. So I walk right up to her and I'm like, what's the meanest fucking thing I can say? And I'm like, no, that's not very funny, what I thought. So I'm like, I'll just poke her in the fucking rib, right? She'll think it's hilarious. So I get right up behind her and I'm like, hey, what's up, you mean old bitch? That is not Raina. That's not Raina. And it wasn't that she turned around and I saw her face, because, yeah, I'm a heterosexual man, so the first thing that I noticed were her tits. And it wasn't that they were huge and they almost knocked me the fuck down. The way that I knew that that was not Raina is that they were both the same size and shape. I got the fuck out of there so fast. You know, I just came that close to sexually assaulting another complete stranger. My parole is almost up and they like to put a limit on that sort of thing, so I'm trying to skate 17 more days of not running into Raina. That's all I've got to do. All right, so I was recently having some drinks with a woman that I know at her place of business, and yeah, so I was having like some chicken, and I see her looking down at it and just like, you know, eye fucking the shit out of it. And I'm like, all right, if you just want some of my chicken, just say you want some chicken. And she goes, oh no, thank you. I don't eat stuff that used to have feelings. And I said, well, what if I could promise you that I knew this chicken when it was still alive and it was a fucking sociopath? Yeah. And I was just thinking, like, we could actually like target vegans with that. We could call it Carl Paul chicken. But so she laughs, and I'm like, whoa, what in the fuck? That was funny? She thought eating a sociopath chicken was funny. And I'm like, wasn't expecting that response. So I'm like, now we've got to take it to the next level. Now I've really got to try to fucking impress this young lady. And I said, oh, you thought that was funny. What if I had an actual sociopath? Would you want to eat some of that? If you're not doing anything in like 10 minutes, you know, you can meet me in my car. And I'm so sure that the reason that she got up is because she thought that was so funny she could not fucking contain herself any longer. And you know, when you hear a good joke, you want to spread it around, right? And so she goes and tells her manager, you know, and I'm sure that he thought it was so funny, that's why he called the two biggest bouncers over and told the joke to them also. So long story longer, I'm just gonna end it there by telling you that there is one more strip club that I'm probably not allowed to go back into for the rest of my life. Let's see. I just write the names of my jokes down and I don't write any description whatsoever. So this one says tender poop, tender poop. So I meet a lot of beautiful women doing comedy. A lot of beautiful women, but not nearly as many as I meet when I'm taking a shit. I mean, where else are you gonna swipe Tinder, right? That was my best attempt at a two-liner. All right, so panic attacks, that's a fun one, right? Panic attacks, that's like the terrorist of the mental health community, right? Because they know how to target you when like you've got the most amount of people around. Like when they can do the most amount of damage, that's when the fucking panic attack sets in. And so I'm sitting there in my office at this fancy fucking job that I've got. And this woman, for some reason, is just like singling me out. Just giving me a bad fucking time. Just giving me so much shit. Acting like she's so much better than me. And the part that gives me the panic attack is that I've had a lot of jobs where people die. Like, I was a correctional officer at a maximum security prison. I was in the infantry in the army in Iraq. I was a security guard in an emergency room at a college town. I mean, if a certain number of people aren't dying every shift, I get written up. I mean, people have at least got to get injured so many times before I'm allowed to go home every day, right? So but now that I've got this like really fancy office job, I'm just sitting there thinking like, I can't just make this bitch disappear. I just have to sit here and take this. And so when I'm done clicking my pen as many times as I can and thinking about sticking it in that vein in her neck, I'm like, all right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna have a fucking heart attack instead. So my heart is beating really fast and I can't control it. I'm like, I've got to get out of here right now. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? So I go to my office and I'm like, oh, I've got Benadryl. I'll just fucking OD on Benadryl and everything will be okay. So I take, I don't know, 3-4 Benadryl, and then I go hang out in an empty bathroom stall. And I'm like, I'll just take a little nap here, like I do. I'll wake up and this will all have just been a dream, everything will be okay. But my heart feels like it's beating even faster. I don't know how many of you have had a panic attack, but you just cannot tell yourself it's okay. This was just like last time, everything will be okay. Your heart, your mind is always like, it's worse this time. Freak out. The walls are falling, they're caving in right now. You're really gonna fucking die this time. Whew. And all right, so I'm not religious, but I thought whenever I see people, I see movies, I see memes, this is the part where they go from like being an atheist to playing like, let's make a deal with God. And I mean like, just to put it in context, like the amount of not religious I am, like some of the things that are on my list that I believe in more than God is Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and female orgasms. All right, but so I sit down in the stall there and I'm thinking like, this is it, I'm going out today. But I still got so much left that I want to do, even though I'm an old man. I still have so much left that I want to do. And so I sit down and I say, God, please not like this. I still want to go to Florida and kill that whole family that's squatting in my fucking rental property right now before I die. And that's when I heard the stall next to me get kicked open and somebody just go crying out, which I later find out was an intern. And I don't think that was intentional that was their last day, but you know, shit happens. And so then I just kind of pass out. I fell asleep in the stall there. And I woke up to a real conundrum. Because now I'm thinking like, I either just confirmed to myself that God really doesn't exist, or I just made a deal with God And he was giving me the blessing to go down there and kill this whole family of people in my house. And I did pay attention in Sunday school, so I'm nervous now. I'm thinking, I learned what happens when you make God mad. So if you guys ever hear about me going by a different name and actually have a full head of hair, I was never here. All right, we got to bring you back up before I go. Let's talk about porn. Just a moment. Do I have about 2 minutes, Matt?
Go ahead.
Please and thank you. All right, so I know that at some point we've all been watching porn and thought to ourselves like, you saw something like cool and new and thought to yourself like, I could do that. And then you find out later, no, the fuck you can't. All right, so it happened to me. Like one night, I'm watching porn, and for whatever reason, they're interviewing the woman ahead of time. And not really my thing, but they asked a stupid fucking question like, what's your favorite breakfast menu item at McDonald's? And I'm like, oh, now these interviews are my fucking thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm even more in the mood than I was looking at her fucking naked tits earlier. I'm like, let's hear it, girl, what is it? What is that fucking delicious, salty shit? She says, it's that sausage egg McMuffin. And my mouth is so big that I like to put the hash browns right there on top of the rest of the sandwich and shove that whole fucking thing in there at the same time. Whew. So now I'm in the mood. But when I look at that, I thought to myself, you know what? That's it. I can do that. That's my fucking porn move right there. Next time I've got a girl over, I'm gonna try that shit. So the next day, on the way to the airport, I stop by and I order my sandwich and shit at McDonald's, and I'm in that rental car trying to haul ass to the airport, but I'm stacking up my sandwich, and I go to shove it in there, and right about here is where I found out that I don't have the mouth of a 24-year-old porn star. And so now I got like that fake floppy ass egg thing falling out over here, and I got like hash browns falling out over here. And as I mentioned, I'm in a fucking rental car, so I'm trying to catch all this shit before it hits the carpet because I don't have time for this shit. And it's right about that time that bam, right in the back of a fucking cop car parked at a red light. That officer gets out and she is pissed. She comes back there and gets up in my face and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you thinking about? Like, have you ever been watching porn and thought to yourself, like, I think I could do that? All right, and so I'm gonna leave you guys with the moral of the story the exact same way that the judge said it to me. And that is that porn stars are professionals. Okay, don't try this shit at home. Thank you, and please welcome back Matthew Tate.
All right, guys, we're gonna keep this moving right along. Are you ready for your next comic on the stage?
Yeah!